Worldwide movement. Peace, love, respect. Big King Sadiq hollering at you one more again. All right. Man. Another beautiful day. Truly continuing to build the worldwide movement. Peace, love, respect. Um, yeah, man. Uh, this has been a beautiful and productive day yet again. Thank you all. We are surging powerfully forward, building a worldwide movement. Peace, love, respect. I thank each and every last one of you. I love you all. Uh, let's continue to build the movement. Please like, share, subscribe. Make sure that you, when you come to the YouTube channel, you go to my community section, check out all the unique information there. Please check me out on all the platforms. My music out on all the listening platforms, streaming platforms. My books available now on Amazon.com. Check those out. Just search under King Sadiq as the author or Big King Sadiq, and those books will come up. All right. And please go to my Rumble channel and make sure that you're checking out content there. All right, that's very important for me that you do that as well. All right, so I wanted to touch on something that I believe is really going to be vitally important moving forward. We are establishing, of course, a new high vibrational frequency paradigm right now, consciously. We are manifesting consciously, uh, going forward. This energy that we are in truly supports that, folks. We need to understand that this is not just me or other folks that you might hear on YouTube. Do the research yourself, and you'll see there are energies um, bombarding this planet that are fostering higher consciousness, right? And that higher consciousness in human beings has a profound effect in a great many areas, right? Even in the very expression of our DNA. Our DNA efficacy increases with higher consciousness. All right, so that's powerful, folks. Please understand that and let that always be sort of your backdrop or in the back of your mind as you're thinking and processing your way through everything that's happening. And there certainly is a great deal happening on the planet now. Moving forward, as we establish our new high vibrational frequency paradigm, we're going to have a great need to increase our capacity to forgive, right? Um, it is really, really going to be important for us to do that. Folks, remember, we are moving forward, starting a new slate. The old paradigm and all the misery, pain, hate, suffering, all the vendettas, grudges, all the angst and strife that was a part of that, we're leaving back there, right? We're leaving. That's part of the old paradigm, and we have to move forward with a clean slate, right? And that's on all levels, right? In the world environment, if as we would say, or the world stage, right? In the our macrocosm of the entire planet, right? Um, Humanity on this planet must move forward with a clean slate, right? We can no longer foster animosities, you know, feuds, beefs, anything that can lead to war, right? We have to have at some point learned our lesson, right? Nothing stays the same forever, folks, right? That includes negative things as well. We should be learning our lesson and growing and maturing, right? Um, Even a child that touches a hot stove learns to not just keep putting their hand in the fire. Like, I mean, we have to grow. We're not supposed to just continue the way that we have. We're not meant to just be this warlike, self destructive species. We can grow and evolve from that, folks. I know many of us have just seen so much of it throughout our entire lifetimes and seen so much of it in our history that we have become convinced that it is human nature. It is not. It is what has been intrinsically programmed in us through layers and layers of indoctrination by the socially economic elite who benefit from us staying at war and constantly at odds and strife with one another. Um, so understand that. And then there are those who say, well, wait a minute, we've had wars all throughout our history, and the socially economic elite have been in control on the planet for that long. Times far overdue for change, right? True indeed. All right. So going forward, I mean, a perfect example of that is what's happening in the Gaza Strip right now, right? And has been happening for ages. You know, think about how many grudges and how deep they would go, how much loss of life, how one side can say, well, this side did that, and the other side can say, well, this side did that. That will never change. And it certainly will never change if it continues, right? If you continue to have more and more added fuel to the fire, what we've got to do is stop throwing fuel on the fire, stop the loss of life, right? And start to find uh, mature, spiritually mature, compassionate action means of solving problems and moving forward in a truly civilized manner, right? Um, you know, that is true on all levels. And here in the US, you know, um, countless beefs that we could continue, countless grudges and points of angst and conflict and contempt that we can continue to throw fuel on those fires and they would just continue to burn. At some point, we have to wipe the slate clean, folks. That's the only way you can move forward with change, right? Um, it's been said, I've heard it quite a few times, and this is a and I've taken note to it, right? Because things don't happen just for coincidence. Don't believe that, right? Things happen for a reason. When things recur, when you have recurring things in your life or in your, in your day to day happenings, you notice trends or things that are lately I've been seeing this, or this has been happening, or I've been hearing this word, or this phraseology has been, you know, used a lot recently, and I've heard it. Um, Folks, that's a little tug on the sleeve. Pay attention to those things. And I've heard it said a lot recently, right? Uh, Echoed and reminded me that the mentality of a slave cannot move forward into a kingdom of abundance, right? You can't be a king with the mind of a slave, with the heart and soul of a slave. You can't be a queen with the mind, heart, and soul of a slave, right? We've got to put all of that pain and anger in the past, that victimology, right? At some point, we've got to say that's what happened, but this is what's happening now, and focus more on what's happening now and forward than putting energy in anything that happened before. We can always learn lessons from the past, folks. We can look and gain wisdom. We can find out what things to avoid, what doesn't work, what does work. Always we can glean lessons from the past, but we don't need to hold on to the emotions of the past. Did you hear me? We can always glean lessons from the past. That's the benefit. That's where there's real benefit in your history and in the past. But we don't have to hold on to the emotions of the past. Let that go, especially if it's pain, misery, suffering, hate, anything along those lines, anything low vibrational frequency. You have to let that go in order to move forward on and build on a clean slate with a new high vibrational frequency. And that same thing applies to us reconstructing our paradigm, or rather forming a new paradigm, uh, and no longer continuing forward with the old paradigm of misery, pain, and hate. Right? We've got to leave that suffering alone. Um, that goes, you know, into what you may see in your city or your whatever your locality, right? The things in your state, your city, your neighborhood, right? Um, Sometimes in cities we got big beefs between two large families, right? You know, the city can barely hold the two. We got to let that go, folks. I know, you know, so and so killed my cousin, or so and so, you know, killed my brother or my sister, or whatever the beef may be. I understand, and I'm not saying none of those things are valid. I'm telling you to move forward. We have to have the capacity to forgive, right? And we have to, that's the only way we can foster an environment of change. We have to have the capacity to forgive. We've talked about the phenomenon of consciousness compromisation, or some people refer to it as um, possession, right? Folks, if you believe that to be the case, and you see that folks are now in this new energy going to be coming out of that, you must have an immense capacity to forgive. They may have done many things that were not even in their own control, that were not the doings of their higher consciousness, rather a lower consciousness that had been in control of the vessel. You must have a great capacity to forgive that, right? And remember, when we forgive, it's not necessarily for the other person as much as it is for you. Because when you don't forgive, that becomes baggage that you carry along with you, right? And can end up being karma. We don't have to have karma in our lives anymore, folks. You can drop your karmic balance if no one told you that. You can simply drop it and move forward with only the lessons that we glean from the past. So we simply must have the capacity to forgive on this planet, right? Um, Look at all that has gone on between black and white people throughout the years. Without a great capacity to forgive, there is simply no way that we can go forward together and form any sort of and a truly peaceful existence, a peaceful coexistence, right? Let alone understand that we're not nearly as separate as we have been made to believe, and actually have brotherhood and sisterhood and family, right? Uh, uh, Sort of relationship and feeling between what has been identified previously as races, right? We need to stop acting like it's just quote unquote black and white people in the world. There's a multitude of races, and we need to recognize that there are things to be forgiven along and across all those fronts. but we've got to be willing to do that. We've got to have our mind focused on moving forward, right? We absolutely must have it. It is vital that we have an increased capacity to forgive. All right? Man, I love you all. Please, let's continue to build this worldwide movement. Peace, love, respect. Big King Sadiq, I love you all.